Culture swap.
Swap my culture.
Here's some culture, and now you give me your culture, and that's how we do it.
Yep.
What are we doing this time?
We watched Braindead or Dead Alive, depending on where you are.
Yep. Spoilers are coming.
This is going to be chock-a-block full of spoilers. So if you want to see this film, which I recommend, don't listen to this, or do listen to it. I don't care if you spoil it for yourself. It's fine.
It came out in like 92, I think. So it's been out.
It's also a comedy. It's harder to spoil a film like this. You probably can already figure out how it ends.
Not only that, but I think unless we like literally start giving away punchlines, it's hard to spoil comedy.
Yeah, exactly. So here are all the punchlines in order. I wrote them all down.
My favourite one is where what was the lady called? I want to say something like Paquita, but I feel like that's also wrong.
I think that's close.
Oh no, I think it's right, Paquita.
Yeah.
My favourite line is when she says, "Your mother ate my dog," and Lionel says, "Not all of it."
Yeah, that was a good line.
That is. So, right, this is a Peter Jackson film. We spoke about him earlier.
Yep.
This was one of his earlier films. It's also apparently getting a 4K re-release coming up. It's something that he's apparently working on. Like his earlier films, so Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles, and this all being worked on for a nice 4K re-release. I'll be getting that for sure.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Have you seen Bad Taste or Meet the Feebles?
Nope.
Meet the Feebles is terrible. Bad Taste, to remember rightly, is okay, but it's been years since I've seen either of them, so I kind of need to like reassess.
Yeah.
This is definitely the stronger of his earlier films, although I would argue the film that he did after this, I believe. Yeah, the film he did after this called Heavenly Creatures, which stars Kate Winslet in, I think, her first film role, and Melanie Linsky, who you might know her as being the like annoying neighbour in 2.5 Men.
I don't watch 2.5 Men.
Alright, well, she's in loads of other stuff as well.
Okay.
It's a film based on a true crime.
Okay.
So
we're not talking about that film though, Liam. We're talking about Dead Alive. So
we are indeed.
Move back.
So jumping back to Dead Alive.
Let me just reel you back in before you go down the review of every Peter Jackson film.
When this opened, so it opens with a weird bit to do with the Queen. I don't really understand why it's there.
What? Wait, what happens?
There's like a scene that has the Queen in it at the very start. If you watch the uncut version, apparently it got removed from the cut version.
I watched it on Amazon, and in the UK we only apparently had the uncut version. So
yeah, so it should have been there. Like it literally opens with like a shot of the Queen.
Okay.
In like a short, like 5 to 10 second scene.
Oh, okay, sure.
I don't understand that, but then it opens on Skull Island, which is obviously, as we know, Peter Jackson, who went on to direct a remake of King Kong. Big fan of King Kong. That's his little tip of the hat to King Kong there. Did you recognise where that was shot?
No.
It's also in Lord of the Rings Return of the King, where Aragorn goes to talk to the leader of the dead.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so that like those high sort of cliff faces and that like narrow like chasm.
Now that you're saying it, I'm like, I can see it. Yeah.
I maybe spent too much of my formative years watching Lord of the Rings on repeat.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, it was bad. So I always I'll get a little smile watching the opening scene because I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
It's also quite a good opening scene for setting the tone of the film.
Yes. So
because it's sort of not serious, but like it starts with a sort of serious tone of like a guy is trying to smuggle a creature out of Skull Island.
Well, he's like a zookeeper, isn't he? Or some
yeah,
sort of...
and there's a reason that he needs the monkey. I can't remember what the reason they give is, but there is a reason.
Yeah.
And then these sort of native people are trying to stop him.
Yeah.
Then his guides are like, "Oh, I don't know if we should be doing this."
Yeah.
But then very quickly he gets bitten on the hand.
Yeah.
And the guides are like, "Oh fuck, we need to deal with this," and just chop his arm off.
Yeah.
Very graphically.
Then see he's got another bite.
I think it's on his other arm, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they chop that off.
Yeah.
Then they see that he's got a bite on his head.
Yeah.
And they chop his head off because they get to stop it spreading.
Yeah, because they know that bite means he's going to turn into a zombie.
A zombie.
Which, in zombie films, it's very rare that zombies actually get referred to as zombies. So I like that they do in this one.
Yeah, yeah.
This is basically just a comedy gore fest.
Yeah, it takes every opportunity to be very gory
Yeah,
and also funny.
yeah. Also, I think it's just a testament to how amazing practical effects are.
Yeah, there are some really good ones in this.
Yeah, like one of my favourites is the woman that gets her head shoved onto like a light and it just illuminates her head from the inside.
Yeah.
It's just there's so many like amazing bits. Just like there's stuff that even now I look at it and I'm like, I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that's the thing with practical effects is it was such a smart way of doing things.
Yeah.
In terms of they were so smart at figuring out how to make it look like that.
Yeah.
That half the time you watch it and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is just genius prop work.
Like I get why CGI has taken over because it's so much cheaper and probably easier.
Yeah.
But it is obvious, I think, most of the times when it's a
It can
CGI
be.
effect.
Sometimes it isn't.
I find with CGI blood, particularly, it very rarely looks right.
That's fair.
So yeah, the story of this is you have Lionel, who lives with his mum.
Yeah.
Ish.
Vanessa? Vera.
Vera. She's quite overbearing.
Yeah.
He meets Paquita, this nice little lady who works in a local shop.
Who has just had her tarot read by her grandma or something, who... It's one of the best tarot readings I've ever seen, which, if anyone knows, tarot is like a card game where you turn over the cards and it tells you your future.
I feel like the people that are really into it would take umbrage at you calling it a card game.
Yeah, that's true. It's not a game. It's real life. But the way their one works in this film is she turns over, like, the night card and she's like, oh, you're going to fall in love with this man, the man that looks like this.
Yeah.
And it's literally just like, he's going to look like this card.
Yeah.
Which is Lionel.
Obviously. So she instantly falls for him. They go on a date to the zoo. The mum follows them and then gets bitten by the monkey that we saw in the opening.
Which is... it's got a name, isn't it? The Sumerian rat monkey?
Yes. And from that point on, it all just goes mental.
It goes downhill very fast.
Yeah. So, what were your thoughts? Because you haven't seen this before, right?
No, this is my first time seeing it.
What were your thoughts?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like really good, very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about the like gross out elements to it?
I mean, it's gross, but it's so over the top gross that it comes back around. It's not like Saw, where I'm like,
yeah,
oh my god.
But I mean, like,
this is...
I'm thinking very particularly of the custard scene.
The custard scene is disgusting, but because it's so funny, it's not like I wasn't sitting there like, oh my god, this is vile.
Yeah.
It's just basically a guy is eating. Two very proper people come round for this like meeting.
They're
about
the Women's League of something.
Yeah,
WLWL, I think it is.
Yeah, and his mum's just like joined them, so
Yeah.
she's desperate to have this meeting, but she's in the middle of becoming a zombie.
Yeah.
So she demands she comes down to dinner. They're eating some custard, and at one point she just squirts pus into the custard.
Yeah.
Which this guy proceeds to eat, and is just like, oh, this is delicious. I love custard.
Yeah.
And then like her ear falls off into her own custard,
Yeah.
and she just eats it.
Yeah.
So it's very gory, but also I love the fact that his wife is watching all of it happen and keeps not saying anything.
Yeah. It's Alright, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. This might be a little edit time.
Okay.
But I also feel like the New Zealand accent just makes all of it better.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be allowed to say that?
I don't know, is it racist or something?
No, they're not fucking race, Liam. They're from New Zealand. They're white.
Is it xenophobic?
No.
Nationalistic?
No, it's fine.
Good. I just love their accent. It makes anything sound funny.
You fucking racist.
I can't do an impression of it, but
No, that's fair.
I think that would be going too far. And also,
I think that the New Zealand people, New Zealanders, I think they probably know that they have a very good accent for.
I love it.
It's not even. It's not necessarily a good accent for comedy. It's a good accent for like deadpan humor, like
Yes.
Flight of the Conchords.
yeah, exactly.
And this, where like things are very much like part of the joke is that they're almost deadpan about stuff or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's that kind of accent.
Like that line, like your mother ate my dog. Not all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a sort of film that, like you said, that you can't really spoil. But also, it's hard to talk about because the appeal of it is the visuals.
Yeah, it's so well done. Like this film, I didn't realize, but I have seen like one of the key scenes.
Okay.
Which is the lawnmower scene.
Yeah.
Because people show that as like a look how good practical effects can be, or look at how insane some films are.
Yeah.
So like the moment he came in through the door holding the lawnmower, I was like, "Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah.
I know what I've seen this scene before."
So,
and it is
fun fact: 300 litres of fake blood was used in that final scene.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, it's also apparently the bloodiest film of all time, measured in amount of film blood used during the production.
Yep, that doesn't surprise me either.
And so you know how I have issues with the BBFC?
Yep.
According to the IMDb trivia, the BBFC loved the film and found the gore so comical and inoffensive that they seriously considered granting it a 15 certificate, but in the end they determined that the sheer quantity of gore would confound expectations at 15 and therefore raised it at 18.
Yeah, it's one of the times where I actually agree with the BBFC and was quite shocked when I read that. I was like, how did they watch this? Because they're quite good at being like, no, this is too much.
Yeah.
I love the idea of them watching this and being like, this is a 15, right?
Yeah.
Because it's funny.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It is funny, but there isn't, like you said, there isn't really anything massively scary about it.
No. It's, but that's not, you don't have to be scary to be an 18.
No, but also there's not like a lot of like bad language. There's not like a lot of like adult themes or anything, although there is like the suggestion of necrophiliac behaviour.
Yeah, there's also, I know that you might not think this is an adult thing, Liam, but there is a lot of very gory violence in this film. I don't know if you remember.
But they're zombies.
But that doesn't mean it's not violence, Liam.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit violent. What did you think of
He lawnmowers a house full of zombies.
Yeah, that's true. What did you think of the Uncle... Is it Uncle Les? Yeah, Uncle Les.
Uncle Les, yeah. I mean, he's just a dickhead. But he's the dickhead uncle.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love when he like convinces him to hand over the house and the inheritance to keep his murders, which are not murders, quiet.
Yeah.
And then just immediately is like, I'm throwing a house party.
There was one shot that I thought was weird, maybe even unnecessary.
Yeah.
That I'd like your opinion on. When Lionel goes to buy the sedatives from the vet, and the vet is German, and there's a shot where you see like there's a slash in the vet's arm, and it reveals like a Nazi symbol underneath.
Yeah.
Is that distasteful?
Why?
I don't know. Nazis are having a bit of resurgence lately, and that's not a good thing.
Why is it distasteful though?
Because it seemed like the sort of thing that was just thrown in there for shock value. Because the fact that this guy is supposedly a Nazi is never actually raised as a point in the film at all. It's literally just that one shot of the swastika.
Yeah, but it's explaining that he's a mad scientist. That's the stereotype of.
So yeah, they're using it as like a visual shorthand.
Yeah, because that is what happened to a lot of Nazi scientists. Is the war ended, people were like, well, they should be tried for their crimes, but also a lot of them are very smart and good at making things.
Was New Zealand involved in World War II?
Yeah.
Were they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, genuinely.
A lot of countries were. Australia was. New Zealand was.
I knew Australia was. I didn't know New Zealand.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Were there any countries that weren't?
Yeah, probably. Mate, I'm not a fucking World War II expert. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's World War One that you saw a documentary on.
Exactly, yeah. And that was only about the British ones.
Yeah.
So I can't even help you that much with that.
Alright. So what was your favourite scene of the film?
That's a good question, Liam. I quite like I like the baby scene where he is trying to take care of basically one of the zombies who's a priest and one of the zombies who's a nurse. Just have sex. Just they get right down to it.
She bites his mouth off first while they're kissing.
Yeah, but then they have sex.
Yeah.
And they produce a zombie baby.
Yeah.
Which then what is the main character's name?
Lionel.
Lionel. And then Lionel trying to sort of... Because he's basically trying to look after the zombies. Because I think in his head he's like, they're still people. They're just... They can't help
they're
it sort
sick.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's trying to like cure these zombies. but he's also trying to look after a baby zombie that is just like all the other zombies are sort of stupid. The baby zombie is definitely like has intelligence of some kind.
Yeah.
It finds things funny, and but there is a whole scene where he's trying to like look after it in a pram, and it gets out and tries to attack someone. And then he just tries to beats the shit out of this zombie baby for like 10 minutes.
Other parents are just looking on.
There's just two women sitting on a bench staring at him.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he says to them. He says something to them when he walks past them at the end. He shoves it in a bag and just walks past. But it's such a weird scene. But I did very much enjoy it. I thought it was very funny.
So apparently, it's also Peter Jackson's favourite scene.
Oh really?
Yeah. So, according to IMDb Trivia again, the movie finished under budget. With the money that was remaining, Peter Jackson used it to spend 2 days shooting the park scene with Lionel and the baby. And Peter Jackson went on to say that's his favourite scene.
Well, there you go. Me and Peter Jackson
got a lot in common.
He should marry me.
I'm trying to imagine what your children would sound like.
It would be weird.
It would.
And they'd know far too much about Lord of the Rings.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's a whole lot to say about this film.
There's not a lot of deep discussion about themes and stuff. I don't
Actually,
think.
that's not true. There probably is.
I shouldn't have said it. Listeners, I'm really sorry I shouldn't have said themes.
No, the thing is, right,
you know how he gets.
I wrote an essay on this in uni, which I've now forgotten everything about it. And I know that like there's been like academic books written that have used this film in like whole chapters. So there clearly is a lot to say about it. We just don't know it. Yeah, I've just got really dumb after uni and forgotten all of the academic stuff. I'm sure if we had like Jason and Leon, they would be going deep into like mother complexes and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's true. There is probably lots that you can say.
But listeners, that's not why you listen to Nerd on Nerd. You come here to hear a couple of twats talk about films and comics and games.
Once I've moved, I want to get my film books out, and every now and again, I'm gonna like dazzle with some like deep film theory, but it ain't gonna be today.
I can't wait for you to try and do that, and then read what you used to write and be like, "Oh my god, what the fuck was I talking about?"
Oh, I'm sure it's nonsense. I'm sure most of it is nonsense. But at the moment, it's lost to time.
Wow, it's a shame.
It is. I remember, like, for this comedy unit that I took, not only was Braindead shown, but also a film called Pink Flamingos.
I think I've heard of that. When did you do this comedy unit? Because I feel like I've heard about
year
the film.
3.
Oh, so yeah, I feel like you maybe mentioned this film to me at the time.
Yeah, definitely. There's a very famous scene in it where maybe we should do it on a future episode, so maybe I shouldn't give things away.
Oh, exciting.
I found my Braindead essay.
Oh, yeah?
So just to give you an idea of the topic, it was using close analysis of 2 scenes in Braindead, identify how the body is important visually and thematically in horror comedy.
Oh, God. This is the problem with what they teach you a lot at uni. You just sound like twats.
That is very much a uni thing.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I know some of our listeners are like people at uni doing this stuff for different things, and you're not twats, and I love you all. But as an outsider, this stuff does sometimes come across as a little bit pretentious.
What I like is, just scanning through this, some academic labelled Peter Jackson's early career as splatstick, which is quite clever.
That is quite clever.
Yeah. But yeah, this SSO was banging on about how things like Reanimator helped to kind of inform the tone of this movie. I don't know if that's a film you've seen or not.
It isn't, but I know about it.
Yeah. Again, it's another one that's like horror comedy-ish.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I remember a part of this essay. I wrote something about. Bear with me like 1 second while I just find a part of this that I remember being really proud of, and I can't remember if my lecturer forced me to take it out or not.
I feel like maybe half of your uni experience was lecturers saying to you,
"Don't do
that."
Liam, just don't do that.
Yeah. What are you gonna do for your masters? Oh, porn sex films. Oh, yeah. Maybe don't know is the thing.
Right, I did get to keep the line in. Okay, this might not make the final cut.
God,
But
how bad is it?
I need to read this paragraph to you that I was super proud of, and I think this essay actually got quite good marks. I don't know if it got a first, but it definitely got at least a 2-1.
Okay.
Alright, so Braindead's dinner scene is one which continually attempts to up the ante in how far the boundary can be pushed. Set in the familiar domestic setting of a dining room, it features the incongruous placement of 4 decomposing zombies sat around the dining table awaiting their food. As Bradley notes, disgusting food gags contribute greatly to Braindead's carnivalesque tone and theme, and here we have the adult zombies acting like infants, ignoring the table manners. Close-up shots of gore, such as the custard oozing out of one zombie's slit throat, force audiences' attention to the unpleasant, grotesque body, manipulated into no longer behaving in an acceptable manner. Miller notes that the various orifices found within the human body can be dangerous to us and others, each with varying capacities to elicit disgust, depending on whether the orifices expels a disgusting matter or is used to intake the sight, sound, or smell of an object of disgust.
Yeah.
Therefore, Miller splits the orifices into the following 2 groups. The first is the Freudian trio of erogenous zones, genitals, anus, and mouth. The second, the location of key organs of sense, eyes, ears, and nostrils. It is the first group that is primarily used during the dinner scene to elicit disgust, culminating in Father McGruder and Nurse McTavish's sexual exploits utilising at least 2 of the erogenous zones, the mouth and genitals. The mouth is used in the form of kissing,
Oh my God, you're such a creep.
made more repulsive by Nurse McTavish biting off and eating Father McGruder's mouth, while it becomes apparent the genitals are involved not only from the vigorous thrusting, but from the baby that is conceived. It is not unreasonable to assume the third zone is also involved, although not explicitly shown.
You child.
That was the line that I was like, oh, because I always got my lecturers to like proofread something before I properly submitted it, because that's how you cheat the system. And I don't know how that one got through, but I was so proud that it did.
Such a little creep, Liam.
So that's a little glimpse into what my uni days were like.
Unproductive.
Well, you know.
Just you being like, how can I fit the anus in here?
You're not wrong.
No, I know.
Yeah, because I used to tell you most of my essays that I was like, right, here's how I'm going to make this file. And we'll see if academics somehow go for it.
Yep.
I think that was like, me and Mark both had a thing where with uni, like we took it very seriously, but part of taking it seriously was seeing how far we could push it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was such a fun game to play.
I imagine it would be. If I could do it with code, I would. But code is a lot harder to put anuses in without people noticing.
I mean, surely like a great coder can hide a few anuses in there.
It's very difficult because a lot of other coders look at your work and then like to tell people what you've done.
Fair enough. So yeah, that's what I mean. So clearly there's a lot that can be said about Braindead.
Yeah, but we're not those people anymore, Liam.
Not anymore, unfortunately.
You rotted your brain out with all the porn. And now look at you.
It wasn't the
For
porn,
fuck's
it was
sake.
the masturbation.
Oh my God. They also say that masturbation makes you go blind.
That's probably what's
Oh
gone
my
wrong.
God.
Yeah. And hairy palms, apparently. But I've disproven that one.
Yeah, and waxed.
I've never had to have my palms waxed, surprisingly.
That'd be so weird. Sorry, we've got distracted. We've got down a weird topic here. Yeah.
Yeah, we basically
yeah,
ran out of stuff to say.
Yeah, but to be fair, we went quite long in the other sections, so don't hate us, listeners.
No.
Sometimes we get these ones where we're like, there's not a lot to say. It's just, here's our review.
It's also often the ones that we both like.
It's always tricky when we both like something, unless the thing we like is about like an interesting political thing or whatever, where we can have a discussion. Stuff like this. Like, this is just a very funny, very gory film, and that's okay.
That's all it really sets out to be. It doesn't try to be anything more than that. It doesn't
exactly
have ideas above its station. I actually think Peter Jackson himself would probably be bemused at the fact that like there is a uni course where one of the essay topics was this film.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel like the sort of film that was made with that in mind.
No, I think he was probably just like, this is going to be a funny film,
Yeah.
and let's have a bit of fun doing all these crazy things.
Which comes across, I think.
Yeah. I liked the zombie mum at the end. There we go. That's
The big old giant zombie mum.
Yes.
Yeah. Which, alright. There has to be something we can say about the whole him being like taken into her womb and then fighting his way out.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to do it, it's literally just telling the story about how, like, boiling it down to its core.
Is it like a reverse
parents
Oedipus?
letting go of their kids and kids? No.
Maybe not reverse. Maybe reverse.
Oedipus fucked his mum, didn't he?
Killed his dad and fucked his mum?
Yeah. This guy doesn't fuck anyone.
No, kills his mum.
Doesn't fuck his dad.
Well, it's not even his mum though, because there's that reveal as well.
No. She is his mum. His dad was cheating on his mum.
Oh,
She's still his mum.
right, okay.
But the dad cheated on his mum, so
With
she
someone that
drowned
was much
them both in
nicer.
a bathtub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lionel happened to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were saying.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I mean, like, that's what, if you want to look at it deeply, Liam, it's telling the story about how parents have to let their kids go,
Yeah.
and kids have to learn to be their own person, and it's showing that as an extreme negative version, which is a mum who doesn't let go of her kid, and a kid who's too attached to his mum and doesn't stand up for himself until the end of the film, where he gets the happy ending by finally doing that and defeating his mum. There you go. You just got film analysed.
Jason and
By
Lee would
Emmy.
be so proud.
Send me love, people. I did a good thing.
Yeah. What are we doing next time? Oh no, we have to do ratings. What would you rate it out of 5?
Probably a 4 out of 5, I think.
I'd agree with that.
Yay.
This was one of the films. There was this and The Evil Dead and maybe something else where, like, teenage Liam, if he was like wanting to date someone, would invite them over. Rocky Horror was another one where I'd make them watch films like this, and depending on if they liked it or not, I'd be like, she stands a chance of putting up with my shit. And
okay, that's all right.
if she didn't
I thought you were
like
going to
it-
make it creepier, but
What do you mean?
I don't know. I thought you were going to be like, because if they'd be so disgusted by this that nothing I showed them of me could disgust them.
There was one particularly lucky lady who didn't like Evil Dead, so just made out with me the whole time throughout the film, and I was like, oh, that also works.
No, it turns out you can cheat the system.
Yeah.
She found the cheat codes.
Yeah. They're quite easy to find. What
are we doing next time, Liam?
We're doing... It's a graphic novel we've discussed in the past.
Yep.
But now we're going to do it properly.
We think we did an episode before this show. There are episodes of this show that aren't technically part of this show.
So before we actually started doing this on the reg, we did like a little trial period of this, probably about 3 years before we started doing this properly.
Yeah.
Where we did 3 episodes, which I edited, and then we recorded a 4th one that Ellie was meant to edit, and that's when the show ended.
Just never did it.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because I am now the sole editor of Nerd on Nerd.
Growth.
Yeah.
It
Look at that.
can happen. So I think we did this on one of those ones, but they don't count. They're not canon. Nerd on Nerd.
No.
So we're now going to do Crossed Volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
Which is...
One of... both of us have read this before.
Yeah, you recommended it to me when I was first getting into graphic novels, which was one of the reasons why we started this show.
Yep.
I think the first graphic novel you recommended me was Iron Man Noir, which was awful.
Yep.
But then you recommended me this and sort of redeemed yourself a little bit. So...
Listeners, this is maybe the only suggestion in the history of Nerd on Nerd that I've suggested to Liam where he hasn't been a dick about it afterwards because he liked it.
It's so fucked up though, isn't it?
This is... Listeners, go read this if you want and let us know what you think. Just a fair warning, this is one of the most fucked up things out there.
Put it this way,
it
is not surprising that this hasn't yet been made into a TV show or film.
No. They'd have to put it on at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And it would have to be... Someone had to break into a news station and stream it out on their channel because no one would air this.
No. Not if you did it justice. So yeah, Crossed Volume 1. If you've read it, you sick little fuck, tell us what you thought about it. Otherwise, just tweet us other stuff about this episode or something.
Yeah, just
like
talk to us.
We have housekeeping.
We're sorry we were gone.
Yeah, we have housekeeping. That's the part of the show for you to get in touch and let us know what's on your mind. Do you know what? Doesn't even have to be about the show. I don't care. Just let us know what you're thinking about.
That'd be quite interesting. Just send us messages being like, here's what I think about this topic.
Yeah. It might lead to us having thoughts on that topic, and wonderful discussion may arise.
Nah, probably not.
Alright, if you want to get in touch, there's several ways of doing that.
Yep.
You can tweet us at Nerd on Nerd, email us nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com, Facebook us, facebook.com/nerdonnerdpod, YouTube us, just search Nerd on Nerd, all one word. Rate and review us on iTunes. No one does that, but it'd be nice if you did. That's everything.
Yeah, that was very impressive, Liam. Any final thoughts?
I'm a good boy.
Bye.
Bye.